right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Another Bourbon Show. Tonight we are recording a few days late because I made a losing bet on a leftover container in the refrigerator, and then it got postponed again because Steven, you got your COVID-19 vaccine. Congratulations.
Thank you. Part of the 21st century, I'd say now.
I would say so.
Or
And you know what?
2021 anyway, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, 2021. We're all now fully vaccinated.
About time, Steven. I mean, you were the most careless one of the group. So obviously you were last.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows me at this point. I think, I'm really one of those guys who kind of like flies by the seat of his pants, kind of builds the airplane while I'm flying. I'm a really radical person. So, I've been traveling a lot throughout COVID. My employer was totally cool with it. So I went to the Super Bowl during COVID. It was just a really cool experience throughout, pretty much. I don't get what a pandemic was, just kind of like an extended vacation for me, but I am vaccinated now. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, so congratulations. Glad that we are all vaccinated, and a couple weeks from now we can get together, go to a shitty bar in Alton, mask free, and watch the Minions.
We could do an episode, all three of us in person.
We could. I mean, we don't have the equipment to be able to do that, but I mean, it's feasible.
Yeah.
It'll be the worst episode yet, but we could do it.
We could do it. So anyway, tonight we are going to be drinking another sample provided by Ryan, but we're going to be drinking this one right here. Ryan, why don't you show your bottle instead? We're going to be drinking SmokeWagon Uncut and Unfiltered.
Kind of hard with the glare, but I'll kind of downward angle it.
There you go. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna grab my small batch bottle too, so we can do a comparison. But SmokeWagon small batch, this one right here, was one of them that we did. Oh, look at that.
I was gonna have some actually later as part, like, just back to back to try them out and compare them, but yeah, I've got the bottle in front of me as well.
There you go. This was an early episode that we did. If memory serves, it was like episode 6 or 9 or something like that. And
69.
Hope everybody enjoyed that. That's Ryan's one contribution to this episode. So really,
and the bourbon itself.
And the bourbon. Yeah, let's give him full credit here. But go ahead and do the applause break for that joke, and then we'll move on.
So anyway,
I do have a bottle of this for you here at home, but maybe I'll just drink it now after that.
But yeah, so SmokeWagon Small Batch was one of our very early episodes, and you should go back and listen to that, as a matter of fact, because I think that is still probably my favorite reaction that Steven and Ryan have ever had to one of the new bourbons that they've been trying. They both fell in love with it. I was already in love with it. We've now been able to acquire some uncut and unfiltered. So we are stepping up our game to this bad boy. Ryan, let's show off that bottle and have Steven do his rating. Yeah, and I'm going to show this one as a comparison. They're very similar.
Right. I think that, now it comes down to like taste. I think it's good, right? Like before, famously now, I've kind of gone back and famously for this show anyway, I've gone back and I've changed my ratings a little bit on SmokeWagon, both the bottle itself and the whiskey. I bumped up both. And I think in retrospect, I gave this label like a 9 or something in retrospect. I mentioned that in one of the other episodes. Can't remember what I gave at the time. At the time, I maybe like a 4 or something. But it's grown on me now that I've seen it in person. I think my main issue with it was that, and I still have it to be honest, is that it's a cool bottle, but the label itself is it's decent, but it's not, it just fits in really well with the overall bottle, which is beautiful. Now for the Uncut Unfiltered though, what I'll say is that's important to set up because this just differs slightly, like you said, Dan. So overall, I still like it. But to me, my personal opinion is that I don't like the black, coin, if that's what you want to call it, as much. I really don't like that color for it at all. Really, it's of the SmokeWagon lineup that I've seen. It's probably my least favorite. I like the blue and the red maybe the most. The gold looks good, especially because the gold fits in with the gold that's already down here. Um, to me, I almost think that they got the labels wrong. I think that the black label should have been with the black coin. The gold should have been with the gold label. I think if you switch those two, it fits a little bit better because, as you can see on the Uncut Unfiltered, the gold is the background color and black is the text. Um, so I think maybe they got that a little bit flip flopped. And so I'm going to give this one. If I gave small batch in retrospect a 9, I'm going to be giving the SmokeWagon Uncut Unfiltered a 7. I'm giving it a couple steps down, but overall, it's a beautiful bottle. The label is nice. It's like kind of looks like a belt buckle to me, or something like that. But the colors are a little bit off, I think, on the Uncut Unfiltered. That's what I'll say.
Yeah,
It doesn't really it's like, is there something on this, or is it just a black circle? Because I mean, even when I look at it, it's really hard to see the dueling pistols and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, you can kind of see it
but
from like that
fake.
angle. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, even if like the gold ring on that bottle with this would have even looked better too.
yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, they all have the same, like that wax seal that's in there. It's the same on all their. It's just the color that changes, right?
yeah.
So, and I mean the difference between the small batch and the uncut unfiltered is literally they flip flop the colors. That's it. That's the only difference. At some point we will probably end up doing on this show just their entries, straight bourbon, which is, I mean, it appearance wise it's very different because it's not a textured bottle. All of the texture that's on these bottles is replaced by painted on stuff. The label itself is different. Yeah, we'll probably end up doing the straight bourbon at some point as well. But yeah, I agree with you, Steven. Yeah, good rating for once. You get a lot of them wrong, but this one, yeah, the last couple you've been doing pretty decent.
Yeah, what can I say? I'm a master of aesthetics. And by the way, I hate to bring this up on the podcast publicly, but you guys' background looks like shit. You know.
I know.
I don't know what to say.
I know.
Anyway.
Ours is just terrible, isn't it?
Just terrible. Just terrible.
Hold on, where's my mellow corn at?
All right, dude. All right, I got something for you right here.
The good stuff.
Captain Morgan Apple Smash.
The stash.
Interesting.
It's a good shot. I will say that.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. So the SmokeWagon Uncut Unfiltered, just like the small batch, it's an MGP sourced bourbon. MGP, out of Indiana, big producer. We've drank quite a few of their stuff. They distill some great stuff, honest to God. The mash bill on this, I believe, is 60% corn, 36% rye, very high rye count, 4% malted barley. SmokeWagon Uncut Unfiltered, each batch is a different proof. They didn't start numbering their they didn't start numbering their batches until, I was telling Ryan earlier, I think batch 29 was the first one that got like a stamp on it that said what batch it was. Before that, I don't know of anybody that was tracking what the proof was on each batch. But as an example, Ryan, you said that the proof on yours, or the alcohol percentage, let's just do the alcohol percentage because that's what it shows on the label instead of the proof. What's the ABV on yours?
On mine, it looks like someone used a pencil to write it in. 56.8%.
They actually use a Sharpie marker. That is not actually printed on. That is actually Sharpie marker. Yeah, from my understanding.
I rubbed it like just as a joke right when we first started, and I just looked at it and I almost faded it completely, gone off the bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually handwritten. These aren't printed to look like handwriting. My understanding is that they are actually handwritten. But what was yours? 56.8 something?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is 113.6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then mine is my Uncut Unfiltered, which I acquired way before you guys got yours, because that's just what I do.
Oh.
My ABV is 56.04%. So again, just a slight differentiation between the proof or the ABV is always going to be
Mine's
different.
better. Mine's better.
Yours is higher proof, that's for sure.
Yeah, mine's better.
By an entire 0.8.
I'm not compensating for anything, so I'm just staying out of this one.
Hey, hey Ryan, when you acquired the bottle for Steven, are those the same batch? Have you checked?
Yeah,
I would guess that they are.
Yeah, it's also 56.8. Yeah.
Okay.
But I also got one more bottle recently that is 56.9.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a little more. So I got,
and that one's
I got 3 whole bottles here, Stephen.
Hey, and that one does have a batch number on the back of it. What batch is the one that you?
You're right, 49, March
49?
14th,
Okay.
2021. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they started doing that, and I don't know, a while back, but they've been pumping out Uncut Unfiltereds quickly lately, which is a good thing, because it's good stuff. Well, what do you say we give it a sip?
Let's do it.
L'chaim.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Very inviting nose.
Oh yeah.
God, that's good.
It's really good, isn't it?
It is. Man. Such good stuff.
It's kind of got like a little leathery texture to it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a bad way at all. And considering it's almost 114 proof, the wild turkey hit a lot harder than this did. Mm-hmm. Like when you drink it, it's very good.
I just like the small batch, just like all SmokeWagon. To me, it's just that hot tamale candy cinnamon pop with a sweetness, right? It's spicy, very spicy, but in a cinnamon context, and it even has that sweetness that follows right behind it, just like you're eating what are the hot tamales, or what's the other one?
I'm trying to think of what that's called. I know what you're talking about. Fuck.
Cinnamon candy. Yeah.
Red Hots?
Yes. There you go. Yeah. Yep, Red Hots.
Wow, we're on the top of our game tonight, guys.
Yeah, we are.
We're ready for the live show.
But yeah, I do find that the flavors to be closer to a Red Hot than a hot tamale, but those aren't like all that dissimilar. But that's just what I get every single time with every SmokeWagon product I've ever had, is just like spice. Oh, that sweetness that follows, just like that candy. And I just love it every single time.
I love how even at this like higher proof point, I think that SmokeWagon, at least of the two, I've only had the small batch and now the Uncut Unfiltered, granted, but I love how sort of, I'll use the word malleable it is, in terms of, if you want pretty much whatever whiskey you're looking to have, you can make these whiskeys be that whiskey by just adding a splash of water, adding an ice cube, drinking it straight. If you're drinking it straight, you can just kind of let it, shift around in your mouth for a few seconds before you swallow, and elongate the finish and give a little more Kentucky hug to yourself. There's all those sort of things you can do with this whiskey that I just think for its price, again, it's still difficult to find in this area, but for the price, I think that it's such a high quality whiskey, and it lends itself so well to every way you want to drink it that it's just undeniable value to me.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the complexity is just out of this world on it.
Yeah. So in the bourbon world, there's I it annoys me every time I see it, and I see it all the goddamn time, where people will like downplay something because it's sourced, right? They're like, "Oh, well, they don't even produce their own juice." This is a perfect example of who gives a shit. Who fucking cares? This stuff is so good that I don't care if it came out of MGP and Fred Flintstone bottled it and said, "Hey, here's this bourbon." It's great stuff. And it was just sitting around in MGP warehouses, like all of their huge, massive amount of warehouse space that they have. This dude found them and he said, "This is really good stuff. I'm going to start buying barrels from you. And I want to buy the barrels that have this flavor." He goes out there, he tastes barrels, he says, "I want this one, not that one. I want this one, not that one." What's the difference between who distilled it? Right? Like, I don't get it. And this is to me the epitome of stop caring about whether something is sourced or not. Pay attention to whether it's good or not. And SmokeWagon is just so goddamn good.
I actually didn't know that that was looked down on, Dan. So that's news to me. And I'll say, like, I guess my first reaction to that, as somebody who knows less than you do, obviously, about bourbon, I would say my first reaction when I hear that is, people line up all over the place to hear, like, somebody who's a master, like, taster or something, just doing a store pick, you know? So what's the harm in this guy essentially doing that, making a business out of it, and just throwing a beautiful bottle on top of it and just productizing it?
Yep. And it even gets crazier than that. So this is straight sourced. Okay, they distilled this, give or take, 7 years ago. Okay, there's no age statement on either of these two bottles, the small batch or the uncut unfiltered, but it's rumored to be aged about 7 years. They barreled it 7 years ago, and the guys at H&C distilling had nothing to do with that. That's straight up sourcing. There's another type of distilling that a lot of companies use, and that's contract distilling. That's where the three of us say, we're going to start a distillery. However, we don't have the ability to wait 7 years for our product to get distilled, get barreled, get aged, get bottled before we can start a business. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy all these barrels from you, MGP. And while we're gaining money to build our own distillery or refurbish our own distillery, the three of us want you to start distilling bourbon at 70% corn, 20% rye, 10% barley. We want this corn used. We want this rye used and this barley used. We want it barreled in this particular level of char. So basically, all that's happening is they're doing the work for us. And that's referred to as contract distilling. Also, it's almost similar to like me going to my neighbor's kitchen and cooking in their kitchen and then serving that food. Okay, that's basically what contract distilling is. That's even downplayed by some people. And I'm like, guys, like, what's the difference? Like, they're telling them what yeast to use. And it just befuddles me. I don't get it, because all that should matter, in my opinion, is what this tastes like in your glass. And SmokeWagon is excellent.
It's all those like craft beer assholes from 12 years ago who now drink whiskey. And they're just shitting on everything.
Well, on the flip side, aren't there fans of, like, if you're a fan of MGP or if you're a fan of Dickel or something like that, and you hear that someplace is sourcing from them, I mean, to me, that should just be a good thing to you. And it could just be a way that just like, oh, it's just like a store pick of, or like a barrel pick of Dickel or MGP. So You definitely, if you're one of those people, if you like MGP or Dickel or something like that, you shouldn't be downplaying it. Like, why would you talk trash on that? You know?
Yep. Yeah. And I don't get it. There's a lot of like snobby attitudes about bourbon over the last 5 years. Um, but yeah,
And
I don't
I mean,
understand why.
just seeing it from my end in a distribution, seeing kind of the death of craft beer and all that mindset of what's good and what's not, and it's all kind of translating now to whiskey. So, and then it'll probably be mezcal later on. But
Hmm.
I mean, how bad were those craft beer? I mean, and I know the big guys would swallow up the small ones, but you drink it, you drink it after, and it still tastes the same, or two smaller breweries merge. It's like, is it really that bad? If they're like, Sam Adams bought Dogfish Head probably 4 or 5 years ago, and they both make great beer.
Hmm.
And now people don't drink Dogfish Head because they got bought by Boston Beer Company. Like, well, they're still one of the smallest. They're not Anheuser-Busch. They're not Miller Coors. Why don't we settle down and just enjoy what you like and drink? And if it tastes good, who cares where it came from?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will always I mean, unless they fuck up their process at H&C, they're going to be one of my very favorite distilleries. And I'm still going to call them a distillery, even though all they do is buy bourbon from other people and either bottle it or blend it on their own. They're still a distillery, in my opinion.
And that's the thing. If they start making their own juice, will it be as good? And I'm sure it will, but without that MGP, product, it's going to be different for sure.
One of the things anytime I see something that is like high rye or a rye whiskey that's from MGP, I'm pretty much going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a try because like MGP ryes are different than any other distilleries, in my opinion. My understanding is that most of their rye actually comes from Europe, and it's a different like species of rye than here in the United States. And to me, their ryes just absolutely kill it. Like you have a Rossville Union sometime and you're just like, God, that is really good. Yeah, they make some really good Redemption Rye. Redemption Rye is probably one of the most famous rye whiskeys on the planet. And Redemption is a MGP label. So,
and what's one even bigger than that used to be up until last year? Do you know the other one?
that used to be MGP label?
Now they're making everything in-house, their own. Templeton Rye used MGP
Oh, yeah.
for a long time, up until recently, which it was them in Redemption. I didn't know about Redemption, so that's good to know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I like MGP. They make some really great stuff out there.
Now that, like, how good this is, when I was on my honeymoon in Lake Tahoe, I was right on the border of California and Nevada. I mean, I shouldn't have gone bourbon hunting while I was out there for it, because
I mean,
it's like you're on your honeymoon. But man, if I could have probably found 5 bottles of this, brought it home with me.
how many text messages did I send you? Like, hey, did you find any? Hey, did you find any? Hey, did you look? Like you hadn't even had the small batch yet. Like you hadn't had any of their stuff yet.
And I think if I did, I would have had more of that incentive to look for it.
Yeah,
because they make some good
had
stuff.
The small batch before then.
No,
He
hadn't.
Yeah, the way that because whenever you got married during this podcast, like middle of this podcast, we can go back and look at the episode order where we talked about it. You would have had small batch though on this show.
I think it was right after, because when was our first episode? It was in August, right?
I'm 100% positive that he had not had small batch yet, and my reason for being 100% confident in that is because I was trying to convince him to get it while he was out there, because I knew how hard it was going to be for him to get it once he was back here.
I didn't even know what the bottle looked like either, so
yeah.
when I was looking for it. So I feel like it was probably, when did we start the podcast? August ish. Because my honeymoon would have been like right around my birthday, which is like August 18th. It's got to be somewhere around there. I don't think we had it yet.
I'm 100% confident. There's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, I was
The
on Lake
smoke
Tahoe
wagon,
too.
the smoke wagon, the small smoke wagon small batch episode was released on September 29th.
Okay, so it would have been after.
What was after?
Like my honeymoon was a whole 5 weeks before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in other words, Steven, suck it.
Well,
Yeah, dude.
but depending on our release schedule, we used to have a release schedule that was like a month out though. At that time,
Quit trying, you little bitch.
I'll
go back to the calendar.
Yeah, we would have to look at the calendar.
Our viewers are gonna love this.
We recorded the episode for SmokeWagon Small Batch on Monday, August 31st. When were you on your honeymoon?
August 18th.
You know that you were on your honeymoon August 18th?
Yeah, because it was my birthday.
Okay, just making sure. Because at first you were like, I think it was this date, so I'm just making sure.
I'm not
so
stupid.
Once
dude,
again,
right,
Steven,
dude?
So
suck
what
it.
am I thinking of? Did you have your honeymoon different than when you had your was that not before the wedding?
No, we got married the 14th of August, and then we were on our honeymoon, I think, by the 15th or 16th.
For some
And
reason,
then
I
I
was
was
thinking
still
you got
out there.
married in fall. Why am I thinking you got married in fall?
Probably because it was late August,
Yeah, I guess so.
near Labor Day, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
You're wrong, dude.
But I just remember like wondering if you
Quit
were
trying to
gonna be
cover it
able
up, you motherfucker. You were wrong, you son of a bitch.
I was wondering if you were going to be able to get SmokeWagon as well, though, but I hadn't had it yet, so I don't know why I would give a shit if I hadn't had it either.
Yeah, it was just Dan busting my balls, and I'm like, dude, I'm on Lake Tahoe, on the beach. Like, I'll find the nearest grocery store soon. I remember I went to 2 stores on the Nevada side, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah. I just remember just being like, dude, you're going to be out there. It's going to be so much easier for you to find while you're there. Get it, because once you're back here, I don't know how like now Benny's up in your area has got SmokeWagon on lockdown for the entire state of Illinois. Like they have it. It seems like just sitting on the shelf anytime you want it. You can go grab uncut if you want it. Small batch if you want it. It's just there for the pickings.
Well, I was talking to one of the people who works at one of my accounts, and he's a big bourbon guy, and someone was selling uncut unfiltered, and my buddy was like, hey, I'll trade you a couple bottles of Blanton's for it. He's like, those 2 bottles of Blanton's plus $200. For SmokeWagon Uncut Unfiltered.
Really?
And my buddy's like, no. Yeah. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that, because I know the bottle's $75.
Yeah.
You know, and 2 bottles of Blanton's that he picks up for, $130 or so, and then $200 on top of that. So the guy's making almost $350. Yeah.
I thought last time I was looking at Benny's website, they had uncut unfiltered just like on the shelf, ready for pickup anytime you wanted.
I've never seen it on the shelf, but I mean, I only go to the same Benny's over and over again, so it's possible it's on the shelf at other places. But I remember I put even for the small batch in on Benny's, and I went and I think I picked it up, but it was hard to get then too, just the small batch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what Benny's likes to do is they'll have limited availability. Please call. Which means they might have some, they might not have some. So that's what they've done with SmokeWagon in the past, from what I saw when I got it back in August. Right. So that could be a trick they pull. I personally have not seen it on the shelf, and I imagine I will not see it on the shelf.
Okay. I guess I was incorrect.
Bear down, by the way, we just traded up. Let's go to number 11. And we drafted Justin Fields.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I saw that as well. I saw Justin Fields taken, QB out of Ohio State.
Yeah,
Ryan,
Ohio State.
What is the what's the hot take on Justin Fields? What do you
Yeah, I
think?
was talking to my coworker about this today. I like Justin Fields. I like Trey Lance a lot too. Similar athletes. The great in the pocket and out of the pocket. I mean, it's a step up from Trubisky and the idiots we have on the roster right now, which is
Who
Andy
isn't to
Dalton,
step up? Who isn't to step
Lomi,
up from Trubisky?
and then Big Dick Nick Foles. But yeah, I mean, Nick Foles is not. Andy Dalton's not. I mean, I would take Trubisky over those two clowns every day of the week. We gave Andy
fair.
Dalton $10 million. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You could have given a flyer on Trubisky for one more year, gave him $10 million instead, prove it, and then still did what they did tonight. I don't think it's a bad trade, or I don't think it's a bad draft at all. He does have epilepsy, so hopefully that doesn't get worse. I mean, it runs in his family, and apparently everyone grows out of it in this family about his age, but they probably also weren't getting hit in the head 17 weeks a year. So hopefully he's going to be okay.
So I'm a Penn State employee. Micah Parsons got drafted by the fucking Cowboys. That's disappointing to me.
That's not the worst. They're always going to suck. I mean, so
yeah,
you can root for him, but
I want him to be on a good team that I can cheer for, right? Like my backup team at this point is pretty much the Giants because of Saquon Barkley, right? Like you gotta.
Well, here's a cheer for him. No state income tax. Take that, government.
Ridiculously high rate of COVID-19. Take that.
Yes.
He's gonna be a fucking beast in the NFL.
Penn State always had. I mean, they usually put out some quality players for sure.
Well, Penn State. Like, I want to be clear about this. There's all of these teams saying, "Oh, we are cornerback university. We are blah blah." Like that became a thing somehow. It became a thing after Penn State said we are linebacker university, because you look at the linebackers that Penn State puts out, and they are all goddamn beasts. They like consistently the best linebackers in the NFL come from Penn State. And we're not going to talk about Jerry Sandusky for once, Ryan. You have been bringing that joke up from the day I fucking interviewed.
I'm not the only one. You know, Steven has too.
Actually, I think Nolan has brought it up more than I have in his 2 appearances on it.
It for sure goes Ryan, Nolan, like everyone else. I do want to say,
and then me.
I want to throw out there though that I don't know if I've ever told anybody this, but when I first walked in for my interview with Penn State, that was one of my questions that I had prepared to ask.
The Sandusky question?
Yes. It was my question. Like, of course, you know, they ask me all these questions, and then they always give you a chance to ask questions. My very first question was, what has Penn State done concerning the Jerry Sandusky scandal? And I'm not even shitting you. My boss nailed it. Like, she's a Penn State grad. Did she nail it as well as oh, you shut the fuck up, you son of a bitch. Do you do anything except for low-hanging fruit? I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm almost done with. I got this much left, but I poured a little of the small batch now to just compare.
Yeah, I mean, I could.
It's exactly what I'm doing too.
Yeah. I remember drinking the SmokeWagon when I first had it. I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite. The more I drank it, the more I liked it. I mean, this Uncut is unbelievable, though.
Similar profiles, obviously. Uncut Unfiltered just has more of it, right? Like, it takes everything to like another level.
Yeah, and I'll say that I think that the Uncut Unfiltered I would agree it's better because it just heightens everything a little bit. But I don't think it's like vastly better. You know what I mean? It's like a couple points higher, but
Yeah.
I'm super satisfied with the small batch. If I went into a place, I would probably look for uncut unfiltered first, but if they didn't have it, I wouldn't be disappointed one bit having the small batch. Or if like somebody out there like me before tonight, if they didn't have access to the uncut unfiltered but had a bottle of the small batch, I would say you really need to get uncut unfiltered, but you're not missing anything that greatly. Like you're not going without or something.
Well, let's put it this way. So, uncut unfiltered is $70 to $75 SRP. SmokeWagon small batch is 50 to 55 is where you should find it. Do you guys think that the uncut unfiltered is worth an extra 15 to 20 bucks?
I don't. I think it's really good. I'll say no. I say like if it was $10, I say it's a no-brainer. I say anything higher than $10, I say I kind of struggle with it. In this case, I think it's just enough of a gulf in that price where I'm like, I don't really know if it's worth it. I'll say this. I'll say this especially if Ryan's about to say something contrary to me. I don't trust the guy. I don't trust the guy who's like, no, I would only go for the uncut unfiltered. That guy's a douchebag. That guy's a douchebag. He's a proof hound, and he's superficial. Go ahead, Ryan.
I would spend $20. I'd spend $30 if I had to. Yeah,
it's your dad's money. It doesn't matter, right?
It's my money.
Yeah, but I mean, if you got in financial trouble, it'd be your dad's money. He would bail you out. Is what I'm saying.
I'll drink yours, and I'll find you a small batch. That's fine with me. If that's.
No, so Ryan, you think that the difference is worth that price difference?
100%. Yeah,
okay.
I love this whiskey.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think it hits all the markers. It's good.
And like for me personally, like I can see both sides of what both of y'all are saying. What I will say is that I will do everything I fucking can to have a bottle of both of them on my shelf available at all times if the price is reasonable, right? Like I do think that this is 100% worth $70 to $75. And I do 100% think this is worth $50 to $55.
Yeah. If
I saw this on the shelf at $65 to $70, I would walk away without question. I would not pay $60 to $65 for this. And I would not pay $85 to $90 for this one. It's not that I'm stuck on paying SRP. It's that I think these are perfectly priced for what they are. And if I have the ability to grab an uncut unfiltered, I'm going to grab it if it's at SRP. And if I've got 3 bottles of it already, I'm probably going to grab a 4th one, right? Like, it's really good stuff.
Yeah, I think it's priced like $5 more up here because where I got mine at my place, where my brother got his at his place, we were within $5 of each other. I think 75 and 80. I mean, it's probably just more north, travels a little more, so a little pricier. But yeah.
If it goes to like you can only get it at secondary prices, I think to me that, like you said, I wouldn't pay it. I think that kills it, and it would also kill my interest in it and make me turn on the fact that all of a sudden I would be on the other side of that argument we had earlier, and I would be like, it's sourced MGP. What are you doing? You know what I mean? SmokeWagon to me, and going back to that conversation earlier, I think that a sourced whiskey is nothing to put down, but at the same time, it's nothing to covet either. Right?
Yeah, that's fair. Do we want to go and rate this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
All right.
I don't care.
Yeah, I'll go first.
You go first.
I'm a little scared to give my rating, I think. But
do you want me to go first?
I feel like if I let you go first, I'm going to change my answer. So I'm just going to say it. I'm going to give it a 9.3.
Okay.
Out there. It's a 9.3. And I do that because I give a 9.1 to SmokeWagon Small Batch, and like I said, I like it better. I don't like it significantly better. I'm not giving it a 10, but I like this one a lot. It's my highest rating so far, a 9.3. I really liked it. It's the type of profile I like. I'm being consistent as well because again, I had it right here with a small batch that I gave a 9.1. It makes all the sense in the world to me on my scale to give it a 9.3. That's what I'm going with. I'm not gonna don't at me. I'm out.
I can't believe. I mean, for something you seem so half-assed caring about. It seemed like. And
No,
you're like, oh,
no.
It's only a mid-9.
I totally expected a 9.3. If you would have asked me what Steven would have given it, I would have said a 9.3 because you gave a 9.1 to small batch, and just a minute ago you said you liked it just a little bit better, not worth $20 to $25 better, but $10 to $15 better. Yes, to me that makes a 9.3, 9.4. Absolutely.
And to me, I think this is maybe where you and I differ, Ryan. To me, even though this is a 9.3 for me, I'll walk away from it and go with an 8.7 on my scale if it means I'm going to get charged 20 more bucks for it. I'll step down to the 8.7. To me, that range isn't worth necessarily paying $20 more for. I just have to be in the mood. Maybe I would, but for the most part, I think I'd be just fine with, something a little lower tier.
See, if I'm spending like 55, 60 for small batch and SmokeWagon Uncut Unfiltered is there for 20 bucks more, I'm gonna every time go for the Uncut Unfiltered.
And
I think I gave the first
that,
one, the small batch, like a 7.3. I feel like this one is a lot better, but that's just my opinion. And we rated that one a whole 9 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. So I've tasted a lot of things in between here and then. It's good bourbon.
What did you just rate this one?
No, I think the small batch I gave like a 7.3 or 7.5.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I gave Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel a 9.1.
I don't know.
Which is still my favorite. I'm going to give this one an 8.9, just under a 9. It's phenomenal. It's good. The more I drink it, the more I like it.
That happens a lot with high proof alcohol, by the way.
Cherry chocolate notes. Yeah. Chocolate cherry notes. Yeah. I like it. I just think it's it's right around a 9 for me. It's not a 9.3, but it's right there.
Yeah, it is a 9.3, but that's fine.
I can't give it a whole 2 points higher. Come on.
I got to do something really quick before I give my rating, and I should have done this earlier.
Were you having some of the small batch just now?
No, I'm having my Uncut Unfiltered.
Oh, I see.
Okay. All right. So here's how it is. Ryan, this one,
yeah,
that you sent us, that's a 9.1 in my eyes. That's a 9.1. It's really good. I don't remember what I gave small batch. I don't remember. But whatever it was, that's how I felt that night. Tonight, I feel the one you sent us is a 9.1. It's just so goddamn good. In my bottle, which is the 56.04, is a 9.0. Yours is just ever so slightly better. It's not based on the proof, based on the flavor itself. Sometimes a higher proof does not mean that it's got more flavor. Sometimes it does, but not necessarily. This time it does. And yours is a 9.1, mine's a 9.0. And I would be shocked if you found an uncut unfiltered that was lower than an 8.8, right? Like, it's just great stuff.
Yeah.
If you see it, buy it. Let me know where it's at so I can go buy one and enjoy good bourbon. I meant to tell you guys how my nut scan went.
Oh yeah, how did that go? What was the outcome of your nut scan?
My nut scan was pretty comical. So I go into the room and they're like, yeah, we're going to leave the room, drop trow, sit down here, put this over your dick. I'm like, okay. I mean, that's not what they said, but that's basically what they said. And I'm not shitting you. The nurse comes back in and she looks at my nuts and she goes, "Hey, do you mind if I go get this like trainee? I'd like her to come in and assist me." I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like that's fine.
Typically, I pay for this. No, please do.
So the trainee, like, she's not like young. She's like older, but she's like learning the sonogram. Like, is it sonogram? Is that what it's called?
Pap smear.
No, you motherfucker. That was the funniest thing you've said tonight, by the way, Ryan. Bar none. Way funnier than the 69 or the nailed it.
So you've got a younger nurse and then an older nurse.
No. They're both older nurses.
Okay.
And the like one that's like training to do the sonograms though, she comes in and she goes, "Oh," when she saw the size of my nuts. So they like scan them, and they were like, the nurses were awesome. They were so great. It's not a comfortable situation to be in, right? Like, I'm not the gung-ho guy that's just like, "Yep, check out these big balls I got right here." That's not me. Like, she's like the main nurse is really nice and having like a genuine conversation to keep my mind off of the fact that they're like scanning my balls. And but it was just comical because you could tell that the reason they had the trainee come in was because my nuts were so big, right? Like, the nurse, like the primary nurse, at one point goes, "So did the doctor want you to have a sonogram of your testicles strictly because of their size, or did he mention anything about any other reasons?" And I said, "Not that I remember." And she goes, "Okay." She goes, "Let me check the notes." She goes, "No, it was strictly because of the size."
Another brother show. Another brother show.
But I definitely agree with you that what Sandusky did wasn't as bad. What the Michigan State guy definitely agree, dude.
No, that you're missing what I'm saying. What Sandusky did was worse. But it's less harm. Like Penn State's,
They all deserve the bullet, man. Like, I'm just not going with you.
pull their fingernails out.
It's all bad. But you did say nailed when you were talking about your boss. So I mean, that was on you.
That's true.